we really shouldn't be having those type of VTuber corporations and agencies and stuff trying to be like, you know, super above everybody else. But they're going to be like that because it's going to be generating some money, and obviously they ain't going to get rid of those agencies because it's going to be like COVID. You just can't get rid of it. You're just going to have to deal with it. And we're also going to have to fight against these type of talents, and then, you know, deal with all this type of stuff on the indie side. And it's just been a constant battle, honestly, even though it's calmed down a lot more now, but still, it's still like a thing we kind of have to deal with. But the thing is, when it comes down to the corporate side of VTubing, that always bothered me, is definitely the side where it's just like, you know what, we're going to use some parasocial stuff, you know, manipulate the audience to do what we want them to do. And then we also have the Japanese idol culture things, which is the two major things that makes me hate, honestly, agency VTubing a lot more than I usually do. Now granted, indie side sucks as well. We have a lot of dumbass people on the indie side, and a lot of dumbass, ridiculous takes when it comes to the indie side too, to the point you're gonna throw a steel chair, and I feel like at some point I'm gonna say steel chair a lot and someone's gonna make that a catchphrase some way. But anyway, we have a lot of dumb stuff, do not get me wrong, and absolutely there will always be some stuff like this. But when it comes to the corporate side, I don't know why, but I just hate it a little bit more. Not saying that I hate the talent, I do not hate the talent, let's be perfectly honest. I just hate that how they have to, like, you know, do certain things or take certain actions when it comes to their content because they work for a company. Like, let's start off with the whole thing with Japanese idol culture. Idol culture in itself is kinda okay. It's kinda okay from certain points of it, but a lot of it is just kinda weird, and it's just strange, and it's sus in a way, right? Because let's be perfectly honest, you're basically dealing with a person or a group of people who is basically just like on this top tier level, who is younger than you, probably better than you, and possibly do a whole bunch of things that is supposed to be pure and perfection, and is not supposed to be seen in some type of imperfect type of light. Basically, they had to be perfect still and just live up to that entire ego, and no matter how much they ask their agencies want them to think they are. And the fans are even weirder when it comes to it too, especially when it comes to the real life version of the, you know, idol scene. Like, people dedicate their lives to certain types of groups and certain agencies and how they kind of, you know, carry out with their idol mission, to the point that if they go wrong and off script just a little bit, they'll possibly stab some of those idol chicks. They'll possibly go as far as to, you know, do some harassment of some of the idol chicks, stalk those ladies, possibly go as far as to just do some more other evil acts. And then the agency themselves is no better. They probably go, and then they had one incident where one woman had to shave her own head just to apologize to her fans because she was caught with a boyfriend. Which, let's be honest, does that remind you of a situation? Rushia, obviously. When it came down to the whole Rushia thing and her potentially having a partner in her life, let's be perfectly honest, the West, for once, wasn't tripping about it. They was not tripping about it. They're like, oh, she got a boyfriend? I mean, that kind of sucks, but it ain't the worst thing ever. But no, you had the Japanese side, and they was gonna burn all of Japan down. Like, it was actually crazy. To the point, this was like something that was never really seen in the VTubing space like that, or at least as far as I know of. At least on not a major scale that caught everybody's attention. And so when it comes down to things, it was just a whole mess of a situation, but it just goes to show you how much they really care about, you know, these idols, these people that are better than them, or supposed to be better than them. Let's be perfectly honest, that side of idol culture is just very weird, honestly. Again, you can't just have an agency or a group of chicks to be like, they're perfect than you, worship these people, and, you know, thinking everything's gonna be fine, because it's just not. People, they are still people at the end of the day. They will slip up, just like VTubers do. And just like idols, when it comes to Japan and their whole culture around it, they use parasocial tactics. We talked about parasocial stuff before when it comes to the relationship between VTubers. But yeah, the whole thing with VTubers being parasocial and stuff, especially on a corporate level, pisses me off in a weird way. Because really, when it comes down to things, it's just like, you know, you work for this company, you don't necessarily have to just manipulate your audience emotions and make them buy stuff that is from your, you know, character, or do other things that they necessarily probably shouldn't do, but they're going to do it anyway. And they sometimes become, well, a lot of times really, become an unhealthy obsession. And that's why you see a lot of the things in Japanese idol culture in the real world when it comes to their real actors and stuff to this day. It's just a lot of tactics that really shouldn't be used, honestly. And that's one thing about the indies that I will say that I enjoy, is that you don't have to necessarily rely on that. You don't necessarily have to deal with those type of parasocial tactics unless you just want to. Granted, you don't necessarily have to do it, because I feel like people that use parasocial tactics just want to try to be relatable to their audience, when there's multiple other ways that you can do it. You could just talk about a game or something. You could talk about your favorite song or whatever and probably relate to somebody in that sort of way. When it comes down to things, it's the simplest manner. You don't have to manipulate people's emotions just to get what you want. That's not necessarily how things work. Or even sell merch, honestly. You don't necessarily have to do it, but people do it anyway. And while it's not 100%, while people are not 100% able to completely get rid of like parasocial stuff, because even YouTubers will end up doing it in some shape and form, but it's not necessarily as key as it is with VTubers though. The only agency I've seen that doesn't necessarily, I guess heavily focus on a parasocial tactic to the point it's idol crazy is VShojo. Funny enough, it is them, because they are like the more casual agency that is out there. They don't necessarily like put these, talents to like a high standard of things already, because they already have a pre-existing, content creation life before they even became VShojo anyway. So, at least they don't have to necessarily think about themselves as in a super deep idol culture type of infested thing. They just do what they do like they normally would, and that's just kind of how it is. And that's perfectly fine. And that's the only plus I could give to VShojo, honestly. But other than that, every other agency just follows this route of just wanting to manipulate the audience to buy stuff or anything like that, and just focus on a parasocial relationship. The shitty thing about it too is that it's just really focusing on like lonely people and people that has like maybe spending problems, or people that is having like heightened emotions or just very emotional at times, and it focuses on those people. And it sucks because those people probably need like a different way or a different outlet. And mainly a lot of times when people watch YouTubers and whatever, they come for the escape. So when you're watching a corporate VTuber, sometimes I'll be thinking, are you just saying that you like your audience because they're making you money and you're just doing your job, or are you actually saying it because you genuinely care about your audience? That's like the bigger thing that kind of gets me every time I kind of watch a corporate VTuber. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that they're bad or anything like that, but it's just because that's how idol culture is and how the industry kind of go around it so much, to the point it makes you question a lot of things, honestly. Obviously, content creators can't be everybody's friend. Let's be honest. If there was a way, I'm pretty sure there's some content creators that will do everything in their power to talk to everybody at least once. It's just not possible. There's no particular way for us to be able to do it, except speak to you in a general standpoint like this in a video form, or just speak to you in general with everybody else in the room and just say stuff that's just general knowledge to everybody. So that's just kind of how it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But to be perfectly honest with the whole parasocial thing, honestly, they don't necessarily, no real corporate VTuber needs to really do it, because you just don't necessarily need it. You just don't need it. You're pretty much, once you join the company and you make it and you're about to start making content, you're already given, let's be honest, over 100k followers already. You're gonna get paid. You're gonna get a lot of attention that you probably wouldn't have gotten on your own though, right? And that's more, and you're getting support of a company. That's more than any other indie VTuber can say about their personal situation, because a lot of times, well, I can only speak for myself, really, is that you could probably speak about everybody else and being supportive of other people and their projects and all this type of stuff and their work and whatever, but they won't ever, pay you attention. They will never really support you like the way you supported them, and that's just kind of how it is. I'm not saying everybody is like that, because there will be a few people that will do it for you. For me, it's been Alice and a few other people, but like on a major level, like people I've covered and talked about before and supported, honestly, you won't get their attention. Unfortunately, they might follow you, but that's about the only thing they will necessarily do. They won't ever really get you the support that you really need to see and really get, which is unfortunate. And that's basically the reason why in 2023 I'm not necessarily going to support a lot of people. Really, I'm not necessarily gonna go ahead and just do all that like I used to, because I need to get somewhere my damn self. But to be perfectly honest, that's just how I feel. But overall, when it comes down to things, the corporate side of VTubing is potentially a scary beast of a machine, not only to its fans but also to the talent itself, because who knows, that shade girl that was in that one idol group, that junk could potentially happen to the VTubing agency people, you know? It could potentially happen. It may not be the whole shaving of the head thing, but it could be another thing that, you know, potentially screws over a VTuber that's in a corporate, you know, setting and stuff. So it just kind of is what it is. My main focus on it is just like, if you're gonna get into the VTubing culture when it comes to the corporate side, and you decide to audition, you make it, just be careful, because you don't necessarily know what the hell is gonna happen, and it could be something that you might regret at the end of the road of things. And I'm not saying that you can't support your corporate people, but at the same time, just really think about, is they really just using you for whatever, or are you really just there to have a good time, or what is the goal of the streamer and the company and everything? That's what you need to really be focusing on. And I feel like that's the thing that people need to honestly question themselves when it comes down to things. There's just a lot of things when it comes to it, and you might think that I'm being a bit paranoid, but people make me paranoid, honestly, and that's kind of the reason why I decided to even make this video. But that's basically what I want to say for this one. So hopefully it didn't come out as 100% ramble and didn't make sense. Hopefully it did make some type of sense in some way and why I'm saying all this type of stuff, and hopefully you got something out of it. So that's basically all I'm gonna say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. So also follow me on Twitter if you like to the channel. Patreon's available as well. And until then, this is your boy Jay, signing off. God bless that.